I think we're going to go to the next phase where communication is not going to be one way from you to them, it's going to be bidirectional, and in some cases even multi-directional. And when that happens, we would have either sensible conversations or just a lot of noise. And our responsibility and our challenge is going to be to filter that out and to create the kind of structure and environment that cuts away the noise and leaves you only speaking directly to individuals who you want to speak to. And lastly is around the regulation and the regulatory capacity. I think earlier I saw Dr. Ndukwe of NCC, who was perhaps who oversaw the transition from Nigeria into the GSM world. And I had a little chat with him around the experiences that he had building regulatory capacity. And I will only tell you one part of it, and that's the good part. The good part is that once you come to the recognition that you're facing an inevitability, and you put a timeline to that inevitability and say, this is going to happen on so-so day, the universe moves and comes to support you. You will find as many people and organizations out there that are going to help you to build your capacity fast enough, because you really have no choice. And this is where we are. This is the most exciting time, in my opinion, to be in this industry, to be in this continent, because we are, despite the current pains, we are for the first time at the brink of complete and absolute transformation that allows us to lift the carpet from every single edge, as opposed to providing services to the micro elites that live in the cities. The challenge is, are we going to be able to embrace the disruption, or are we going to stand apart and wish it didn't happen? Thank you.
Thank you, Chinenye. Now, please talk about the future of Bitcoin, or what you're doing with all this finance, electronic finance.
All right. Hello. Hi. So the millennial here. I couldn't say. So hey, so as a background, we are Silicon Valley VC Fund, and as a network, we've invested in some of the coolest companies in the world, like Twitter and Hotmail and Tesla and SpaceX, and companies really breaking the boundaries. We call them bleeding edge technologies because the cut is open, so they now bleed. So it's, and thankfully, by the way, I have just one slide. So can we just go to that one slide? Right? Oh, just click over. All right. Oh, there we are. Yeah, and that's it. Thank you very much. I'm joking. So here, ladies and gentlemen, is the future of finance, the future of financial infrastructure, the future of pensions, the future of everything. And I'll just walk through those three things quite briefly, and so that we can go home. So the first is blockchain, and which has been this typical fancy technology that people still don't quite get. But just to give you a little bit of a background, by the way, I'm talking about how technologies are and will revolutionize how we conduct finance. So just building up on what my fellow people here have said, which has been very fantastic. So think about it this way, ladies and gentlemen. Remember when you used to use your Excel sheet, for example, or people that use Excel sheet, right? And now there's this cool fancy thing called Google Sheets, right? So with the Excel sheet, you're on a laptop, right? Doing your Excel thing, the numbers and everything, with an unconnected laptop, let's say that way. Fast forward to Google Sheets, which is the Excel version for Google, where you can collaboratively run the same numbers and crunch the same numbers. So I am here with my CFO in Nigeria, and you are there with your CFO in China, and we're editing the Excel sheet live. So that's basically the difference between how technology works now and the blockchain. So just to reiterate, the blockchain is information and data, right, and security, right, being hacked in real time in a peer-to-peer basis. So picture everybody in this room, or everybody in Nigeria, or everybody in the pension scheme, right, being on one big, massive online blockchain network, right, where you don't need to approve transactions. The blockchain automatically approves those transactions. You have things like smart contracts where if I get to a certain age, I'm entitled to X, Y, Z. So putting this kind of automated controls to a mass wide variety of people. So when you talked about, is it possible for us to have a platform with 100 million people, for example, being automated, the blockchain technology totally does that. And which leads me to the second layer of mobile. Thankfully, right, everybody now has mobile devices. And I would like us to think about mobile devices beyond phones. So we've got the watches, we've got the Internet of Things, we have a whole bunch of things that are going to come up over the next 3 to 5 years. And but the cool thing about this thing is everything gets to be interconnected. So initially, the tech revolution started with data, right? So we started with data, right? And we went to information, which is lots of data together. Then we went to knowledge, right? Which is being able to interpret what the information has. Then we're in the era of big data, which is having vast amounts of data. For example, fun fact, we've generated more data in the last 10 years than in the history of humanity combined. So how do you interpret that? Which is now less big data and intelligence, which is where the AI piece comes in. So picture a world where, for example, you're talking about, which was very fantastic, having millennials or having people unbanked, telling them their bank balance and telling them what to do, and just showing them what they have. We're moving to a future where the AI will recommend what you can or cannot do. For example, will you like to subscribe to this pension fund, or from the history of your financial transactions, you should carry out this next step? So things like that. So where we become very reliant on technology, which we are to an extent now, less so in the financial sector. Another little point I'd like to make is the issue of what we call USSD. So yesterday I was in Nairobi, and I think the head of payments or something to Facebook brought out this really great insight, and I think that's where the world is going to. So Facebook, which is this little Facebook Messenger, okay, which is this super cool chat thing. The concept of bots are now coming into play.
You're watching
where
the live broadcast of the World Pension Summit Africa Special, coming to you from the nation's capital, Abuja. The two-day event has looked at innovations to capture the very critical sector of the economy, and that is the informal sector. So many conversations have been on how to use technology, get digital pension investment, get that very key sector of the economy captured in a very vital aspect. Retiring these days is a very fearful thing for a lot of people, and so having savings and having retirement benefits at the end of the day is something to look forward to. Well, the panel will continue, but that's it from Abuja. We'll hand you over now to Lagos, where normal programming resumes.
On which